One group came in after that high water and the fast-moving water, and I said, oh, good, I'm glad you're out. We had your name in with the Forest Service, and they said, you did? I said, well, yeah, we want to make sure that we were keeping track of you and where you were, and that's a big part of what outfitting is.
Welcome to Big Red Canoe, the podcast from Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness, where we introduce you to captivating people and intriguing stories from America's treasured wilderness. I'm Dave Meyer. Grab a paddle and hop on in. After a whisper of a winter, where much of Minnesota had lower than average snow totals, we thought we might be in for another drought-plagued summer, which in recent memory has given way to wildfires and closures in the Boundary Waters. Instead, we've had a very wet season with rain and storms all spring. In May, that resulted in road washouts in the LaCroix Ranger District, and then a major storm hit June 18th that caused flash flooding and severe thunderstorms with damage across the Superior National Forest. That resulted in road washouts and entry point closures, which left some permit holders left to scramble, either modifying plans or canceling trips. Since then, water levels have remained high. So we were wondering how the recent weather has affected outfitters in the aftermath of that storm and how they've been working with their Boundary Waters customers and what they're seeing out there right now. So I sat down with Ginny Nelson on the deck at Spirit of the Wilderness Outfitters in Ely last week to find out. It was a beautiful morning, but a busy weekend, so you might hear some traffic in the background. The vibe is great in Ely right now. There are a lot of people here. Saw a lot of people out walking around yesterday, and everybody's getting excited for the 4th of July parade tomorrow. Yeah. Friends of the Boundary Waters will be walking in that. Does Spirit of the Wilderness do anything for
We don't normally do the 4th of July parade because we usually have so much outfitting and things going on, but this year is our 25th year in business, and we are going to have a float in the parade and throw out some candy and some fun stuff. So this is one of the first times we've been in the parade. We attend the parade, and man, I tell you, if you've never been to the July 4th parade in Ely, it is a sight to be seen. There is candy and things galore thrown out. Kids will not have a problem getting sugar. And there is a ton of different floats and people walking, and the park is full of stuff going on. They have a really fantastic fireworks display for a small town. I tell you, it rivals a lot of different places, so it's a really fun place to be for the July 4th time frame.
I know coming into the season we were talking about, like, what if it's a dry summer again, and instead we've just been soaked. So what were you seeing this spring, and then kind of how did that change the season when that big storm hit here a few weeks ago?
Well, we got enough rain this spring. Maybe every week or so we'd get some rain, so it kind of, the water levels were starting to come up. But then, yeah, we got some heavy rain on, that was at June 18th.
Yeah.
Normally we don't close early for pretty much anything except for maybe tomorrow, July 4th. We close a little early so people can go spend time with friends and family, but we actually closed about an hour early so our staff could go home because we thought, oh, it looks like there's some big rain coming, some heavy winds and things like that. And
did sirens go off on that day?
I think they may have gone off on that day, but down here we didn't hear any sirens.
Yep.
It was pretty heavy rain for quite a while. It was definitely more than we were expecting because it kept going through the evening. And then when we woke up in the morning trying to figure out what was closed, because right around Spirit of the Wilderness, it doesn't look like it's flooded. But then we started hearing about road washouts and different things like that, and it didn't all happen right away in the morning. Sometimes it takes a little bit for that stuff to happen and water to do its work. So we had some people up in Slim Lake, we had some people up in Moose River North and Little Indian Sioux River North, and those are some of the areas that were affected by some of the road washouts, and that was the main thing. So the North Arm Road had 2 major road washouts, and so we were worried about our Slim Lake people coming out, but the road was good enough for them to drive out, but it was definitely rutted up, and actually half of the pavement was gone on one chunk, and they just went for it and made it back. So we're thankful that they're safe. We did have a number of groups up at the Moose River North entry point, which the problem with that is when it rains in Ely, it takes a day or so, and then the water levels go up on the Crooked Lake area, Curtin Falls, the Moose River North, Little Indian Sioux River North, that all the water levels raised a couple days after rainfall here because it takes a little bit for that water to move north. Remember, we have a continental divide just south of Ely, and that continental divide makes all the water flow north instead of south. So we were worried about them coming out, so we were informed the Forest Service. When you get a permit, you probably have to run back out to your car and give everybody your license plate number, and it's kind of annoying because you keep forgetting, and then you have to get everybody's name listed on the permit. Well, here's why you have to get that information. Because we were able to talk to the Forest Service and say, here's specifically the car's license plate numbers that will be in the parking lot that are our customers. Or here's the ones that were in and they've already exited, so we know that they're already out and they're safe. So that safety information that we get ahead of time definitely plays a huge part. But so we had a group come out, and there was a number of about, I think it was 4 adults and these 2 little girls, and man, they showed me some videos, and that coming out of Moose River was no joke. That was the portages full of water, and somebody had strung a rope along one part of the portage so that people could hang on to a rope.
Hang on.
And it was like waist deep, fast moving water. Because the entry point is a little harder to get the permits these days, because they have less permits, we didn't actually have too many groups up on the Echo Trail. We had a few groups that, the entry point's closed for a few days, or the Mudrow, the North Grassy Road washed out. Luckily, we didn't have any groups coming out at Mudrow at that point. We did have a couple groups that had to reroute and get new permits, which, because there were new permits, they were able to rebook. Someplace, if there's no permits, you can't just go someplace else. So they were able to rebook. But yeah, it was a little bit interesting logistic-wise. Every morning we'd try to figure out what they worked on, if the roads are fixed, if they're not fixed. I had a whole spreadsheet of our people, where they are and where they're coming out, and who we should, think twice about, and who is probably in an entry point that they're probably doing just fine, just more water in the lake.
Right.
So as an outfitter, that's my job. As an outfitter, my job is to keep track of where people are and when they're coming and going, and, a few different things that people don't think about. They just think they're getting a canoe from me and then they're on their way. But we think about it a lot more than that, and we kind of keep track of where people are.
Well, that's great that you provide that service, and that you're kind of thinking about that and coordinating, with the Forest Service and making sure that everybody's safe. And do you do pickups at entry points? Did you have anybody you had to pick up, and how did the timing go on that?
Yeah, so the Echo Trail had some washouts on it at one point, or some unstable stuff they had to fix. And to be honest, we tried to stay away from the places that we didn't need to go, so we were not the people adding to the problem of gawking and being there, because that is a true problem. When something happens,
really, people were driving up and checking it out.
We want to go see the washout. Well, you're in the way. But yeah, we did have a group coming out at Little Indian Sioux River North, which is entry point number 14. And with the Echo Trail closed, we had to go. It was a good hour and a half out of our way to go come on the Echo Trail from the north side down. So through Bike, the Crane Lake side of the Echo Trails, we had to drive all the way around and come down that way. And then the group was an hour and a half late because they were struggling against the current coming out. Because remember, the current's going north, they're coming south to the exit point. Right. And so they had to struggle against the current, so it took them a little bit longer to get out. And then we had to drive all the way back around. So it was like I don't know if it's like a 1 o'clock pickup, and they finally got back to Spirit of the Wilderness at 5. It should have been 45 minutes each way. So yeah, that was a major day of travel that we, had to fit into our schedule of other stuff too.
Yeah. Do you have enough people that you can kind of have somebody who's out and they just, on a pickup, and
I don't just have drivers sitting around waiting.
Yeah.
I do schedule my drivers specifically for pickups and drop-offs, and I don't always have a driver on hand for that last minute stuff. So I do have people I can call in. We're a family-owned business, so my parents and I were all drivers. Yeah. So sometimes we end up
picking up the slack.
Yep, for sure.
Then how have things kind of settled out since working through that initial flooding and fast water? I imagine it's remained fast, and it's not like the rain has let up even.
Well, the main thing is Ely is still open. You can still get to Ely multiple ways. Highway 1, the detour is a little bit longer than you'd like probably, but it is doable. So every day we've been trying to figure out what roads are back open. Most entry points are back open. There's still some high water. Today is July 3rd. So, we still have some high water to deal with. Some people say, I've been here in high water. I've been here for 25 years. I've never seen the water this high. So it's high. And so, people they're still taking great trips, but, you just caution is, the biggest thing, and not being impatient. And if it looks like more than your ability to do, for instance, some groups in general have gone up to Moose River North and looked at the water and said, it is flowing too fast and too furious. We're just not going to go. And that's a smart call. It might be really hard for your brain to turn off that you're not going to do a trip right then and there, but it may be the smartest thing for you and your group. If you've got an inexperienced group, you don't want to put them in whitewater conditions if they haven't practiced.
Yeah, and so I imagine you're pointing out any possible trouble spots to people when they're heading out. Or are you kind of suggesting alternate routes, or is it even coming to that?
We did suggest some alternate routes for some groups, for sure. Yeah, we're definitely pointing out different, things to be cautious of. This year, the Boundary Waters has had a lot of things happening, and the number one thing we keep telling people is wear your life jacket. Oh, people say, but I'm a really good swimmer. I can just grab it if I need it. No. When you need it, it's probably an instant situation that you're not thinking like, hey, I need to grab my life jacket. So the number one thing is wear your life jacket. And then the other couple things we've been telling people, don't overestimate your ability. If it's super windy in Whitecaps, that's a good reason to stay on shore.
Pull over
and wait it out. Waiting it out doesn't mean 30 minutes or a half hour or an hour or something like that. It means it might be till evening when the wind dies down. You might be windbound for 4 or 5 hours. It's not an immediate gratification kind of thing. Well, I waited for a bit, now let's go. Stuff like that has been a big issue this year as well. People are not conscious of what their ability is sometimes. More caution than not is preferable.
Yeah, you can head out a little bit earlier in the morning and at least avoid the wind, with the water being what it is.
I can tell you probably almost all the outfitters have the same thought. We open at 6:30 in the morning, and the reason we open at 6:30 in the morning, we actually want people to get going early in the morning. When people show up at noon, 1 o'clock, and they're going to start their trip that day, it makes me nervous, as well as a number of outfitters. We want people out on the water probably 8, 9 o'clock at the latest, because the wind is the least amount in the morning and then later in the after dinner. And so we want you to get going on the trail out there so you have a good chance to get going, get to a campsite, maybe when the wind picks up so you have a place to settle down and, button down.
Definitely talk to an outfitter, not only for your expertise in helping to plan a trip and knowing places to go and getting outfit and getting gear, but also for things like you're talking about, kind of having somebody looking out for you a little bit while you're out there.
Well, for sure. That's exactly one group came in after that high water and the fast moving water, and I said, oh, good, I'm glad you're out. We had your name in with the Forest Service, and they said, you did? I said, well, yeah, we want to make sure that we were keeping track of you and where you were, and now that we're out, we're going to let them know you guys got out. And they were just kind of in awe that we actually went a few extra steps to make sure they're safe, and that's a big part of what outfitting is as well. It's not just here's a paddle and a life jacket and a canoe. It's really, we take a few extra steps and make sure that you do have some more information, that you are treating the wilderness the correct way.
Yes. Thank you, Ginny Nelson of Spirit of the Wilderness Outfitters in Ely, for sharing with us what it's been like with the high water this year. If you've got a trip planned in the near future, check with a ranger or your outfitter for more information, and use caution and common sense in the wilderness. Stay within your skill levels, and if conditions exceed your group's abilities, turn around and exit the area. Also, remember to always wear your life jacket. And thank you, everyone, for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend and leave us a rating wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be covering a wide range of recreational topics this season, and we'll meet some great personalities from the BWCA along the way, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And to become a member and support the Friends, visit friends-bwca.org. Big Red Canoe is a presentation of Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness. Original music by Surge and the Swell. I'm Dave Meyer, and we'll see you next time on Big Red Canoe.
The Boundary Waters is more than a stunning collection of pristine water, trees, and ancient rocks. It's the people, the memories, the life-changing experiences that make this wilderness such an important part of our lives. Connect with this special place by subscribing to Friends of the Boundary Waters newsletter. or following us on social media. Visit www.friends-bwca.org to learn more.